going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Thanks so much for tuning in and spending a few moments of your day with me. You're watching the most objective magic review channel here on YouTube. Today I've got another magic review for you. I'm taking a look at the ultimate number Phorce by Daniel Harel. And that's Phorce with a PH because it uses your spectator's phone. Now this was put out by Bakore Magic, and for $35 you can pick this up. You'll get access to a 30-minute instructional video where you're going to learn the main stage presentation of this effect, and then they go over how they've adapted this to be able to perform it close up or even one-on-one. You also get access to a PDF file which pretty much just goes over the same thing. I'm going to give you guys a rundown of what the effect looks like, and then I'm going to go over my impressions of this. Now this is advertised as a number prediction effect that doesn't use any type of phishing. It doesn't use any gimmicks or apps or add a number type presentation. And all of that is true, although you'll soon see that some of their advertising is kind of misleading, and we're going to get into that shortly. So what does this effect look like? Well, it looks like this. You have a prediction on view since the beginning. You ask a spectator to come up, you ask them for their phone, and this can only be done with an iPhone, and it's going to be apparent why shortly. You apparently are trying to open up their lock screen, and then you tell them to hold out their hand. You tell them that they're going to come up with a random number. You tell them to hold the phone out in their hand and close their eyes. You tell them they're going to tap on the screen each time you tell them to. They do that. When they're done doing that, you kind of redirect them and show them the number they came up with. You can let another volunteer verify that that number matches your prediction. That is the basic effect. All right, so what's my impression of this? I think that this is a poorly thought out presentational idea for an age-old iPhone Phorce that we all know about, unfortunately. At best, maybe this is a stage presentation that you might be able to get away with a lot of spectator management, although it's fraught with all kinds of pitfalls that could potentially just sabotage the whole effect at any moment, unfortunately. So I was really surprised that they actually are selling this, because when I saw the whole thing, I thought to myself, wow, this is something that you would just imagine talking to your friend about, or even reading on a magic forum. Like, I can't believe they're actually charging $35 for this. This is grossly like overcharging for such a silly idea. Really, that is my thought about it overall, and I'm going to give you guys specific exact reasons why that is. So starting out with just the method is the most well-known age-old iPhone Phorce that you know. And so if you think about an iPhone Phorce that you know, a number Phorce, this is probably it. So that's probably exactly what is going on there. So it's not original at all. Unfortunately, the ad copy, they say that this is a Phorce tool that uses a borrowed phone. It makes you feel that this is some original type of Phorce tool. No, it's not. It's not their Phorce tool. No, it's not at all. It's just their presentational idea of how to try to present this. But let's talk about why this is going to go wrong and where the problems is and why this is so poorly thought out. So let's start out with this. The dual reality idea is very weak. That's not going to fool anyone, because apparently you're trying to open up their lock screen and you're trying to give this impression to everybody that that's where you are. But the problem is that no one's going to be able to look at the phone at the end at the number, which is why you didn't see the screen in the trailer. And because of that, you think that this is going to fool people. It's really not. People aren't stupid. And the creator of this, Daniel Harel, says that ideally it would be best to borrow an iPhone from one person, but bring up another person that uses an Android phone. Like, how are you going to know who uses the Android phone and who doesn't? I mean, it's just not feasible. I think that that's just really reaching. And then there's all kinds of complications that could potentially happen because there is a setup involved. And unfortunately, because of that, if their iPhone isn't even locked, then there will not be a good reason why you're sitting there messing around with their phone. If they've changed settings, on their phone, then it can also fail right there before you even began. And he gives you this excuse that even if they don't have their phone locked, that you're apparently trying to go to the dial pad on their phone. And so that's the excuse. But the problem is that when they see the number they've come up with, it's not going to make sense because you're not on the screen that you said you were going to. So I don't see how the dual reality is really going to fool anyone. I don't know, maybe on stage. I mean, I guess with the idea that maybe you're fooling the whole audience, but not the one person that's with you. I don't think that this is an effect that's going to work at all close up, and especially not one-on-one, because when I perform close up and other people are watching, they want to get really close. They want to see what's going on. There's no way that you're going to be able to hide the screen from all of those people. And when I tried to perform this one-on-one, it absolutely failed, and I'm going to get to that shortly why that happened. Another reason why this is going to fail on you is because the spectator has to tap on the right place on the screen. And that is a really big issue, because when you tell that spectator, his idea is to tell them, well, just try to tap near the middle because you might actually accidentally call someone. The problem is when they open up their eyes at the end, they're going to realize that they are not on that screen that you're saying that they're on. They're going to notice where they are. People aren't stupid. So that's really not going to fool anyone. And as I mentioned, if they tap on the wrong part of the screen, then that's it. The whole effect is going to fail right there. And so those are the reasons why this is very dangerous to try to perform, because it's going to require you to really manage that person. If they don't tap the amount of times you tell them to, again, another fail right there. So you could see where there's so many issues that can arise. And then the last issue that I had with it, which is probably the biggest issue you would have, is that you need to touch the phone before the revelation. And so Daniel Harel tries to come up with this idea that you're touching them and kind of redirecting them at that same time that you have to touch the phone. The problem is that people aren't stupid. And when I road tested this, as I mentioned, that the spectator was holding the phone at their belly and they were tapping. And then as I was trying to kind of redirect them, of course, they looked down because they were done tapping on the phone. I mean, why wouldn't they? I mean, it doesn't make sense not to. The moment I tried to kind of redirect their hand, get close to them, of course, it just gave it away right there. And so this is not the type of effect that you're going to be able to pull off close up or even one-on-one successfully. It's going to be very difficult. And I'm telling you guys, I perform close up all the time. So I would tell you if this is something that's feasible or not. Honestly, I think the effect is really just kind of rubbish. That's really what I think overall, which is why you're going to see that I'm giving this a very low rating overall. So those are all the major reasons. I mean, I could continue to go on and give you more and more reasons, but as you can see, this is just grossly overpriced. And I don't think it was really well thought out for all of the different things that could potentially happen to screw up the effect on you. All right, so let's get into my rating of this. So for originality, I gave this a -1 out of 5 because it is completely unoriginal. As I mentioned to you guys, this is an age-old number force with the iPhone. In terms of practicality, I would rate it as a 1 out of 5 because it's a piece that you're only going to probably get away with this on stage and with a lot of audience management. Unfortunately, it's so fraught with things that can go wrong that it really is a gamble. For routine design, I rated this as 2 out of 5, and for the above mentioned reasons, obviously. The teaching, I gave it a 4 out of 5. I thought the teaching was okay, but unfortunately the creator of the routine just kind of side-skirted some of the issues that I have with the routine, as I mentioned above. Really didn't address all of those really well, or just made excuses for them. In terms of comparison with other products, I would give this a 2 out of 5 because I think there are so many other number prediction effects out there that are so much better than this. And I'm actually going to put out a top 5 number prediction effects review shortly to help you guys out if you are looking for something like that, because there are so many other better number prediction effects out there, many of which I have used over the years. Finally, for the price, I rated it as 1 out of 5 because I think that this is grossly overpriced. So this gives us a final rating of 1.5 out of 5. highly undesirable. My advice to you guys is to skip this. Don't pick it up. Don't waste your time or your money, and don't look like the fool. Because if you try to perform this, it's highly likely that it's going to fail on you and that you're just going to look silly. So that's my recommendation to you guys. I mean, I can only imagine you're on stage and you're trying to perform this, and maybe the person taps on the wrong part of the screen or something else goes wrong, and then the whole thing gets sabotaged. So that's why I'm telling you guys that this is something you really don't want to mess around with. I'm actually really surprised that this was put out for sale, to be honest with you. Anyway, hopefully this review has helped save you some money, time, and aggravation. As usual, if you have any questions or comments, just leave them for me below. Thanks so much, guys, for tuning into my magic reviews, and I'll see you on the next one.